Hi, my name's Allison Turpin, and I believe that we should ban cell phone use while driving on a nationwide scale. Now, I'd like to kind of try a little experiment. If you have ever used your cell phone while driving, please raise your hand. This includes texting and talking on your cell phone. I have. And now I'd like for you to raise your hand if you use your cell phone once while driving every time that you drive. Before now, that was me too. Don't be embarrassed about it because you have literally placed yourself in a large group of people that are doing the exact same thing as you. According to a survey conducted by Edgar Snyder and Associates, which is an accredited law firm that represents injured people, over 1/3 of all young people, drivers aging 24 and under, are texting on the road, and 73% of those drivers are talking on the phone while driving. If this doesn't open your eyes to the epidemic that is at hand, the Nationwide Insurance's 2008 Driving While Distracted survey, which revealed that 45% of respondents had been hit by or nearly hit by a driver using a cell phone, should get your attention. Cell phone use while driving is selfish, irresponsible, and very dangerous. The use of a cell phone, hands-held or hands-free, while driving should be completely banned on a nationwide scale. Cell phone use while driving does not only impair and affect the user, it can also harm and be very dangerous to others. The effects on the user are, according to a study by Carnegie Mellon University, driving while using a cell phone reduces the amount of brain activity while driving by 37%. Now, that's also supported by NHTSA, Insurance Institute for Highway Safety, who states that drivers using cell phones are 4 times more likely to get in crashes serious enough to injure themselves. The National Safety Council estimates that at least 1.6 million crashes are caused each year by drivers using cell phones and texting. A new CBS report finds that 1 out of 4 crashes is caused by a cell phone driver. A cell phone driver is someone who is using hands-free or handheld cell phone. Experts say that both are equally distracting. When you're using a handheld or even a hands-free cell phone, you're 4 times more likely to crash than when you are texting or dialing or emailing, you are 23 times more likely to crash. Now, I'd like to discuss some of the effects on the victims. Joe Teeter would have been a freshman in college had a 20-year-old woman talking on her cell phone not driven through a red light 6 years ago and killed him. Joe's father, David, said, "We lost Joe as a result of a cell phone call." And you think about it, and it just seems so senseless. On September 28, 2005, in Riverview, Florida, a careless driver on a cell phone blazed through a red light at 55 miles per hour and struck a mother on her driver's side door as she was making a left-hand turn towards home. Her car was pushed 40 feet, and the mother's neck was broken in 2 places. She left behind 2 daughters and a fiancé that she was due to marry the next week. According to MSNBC, on June 28, 2011, in western New York, text messages were sent and received on a 17-year-old driver's cell phone moments before the sports utility vehicle slammed head-on into a truck, killing her and her 4 recent high school graduates. Police said Bailey Goodman was the driver, and her 4 friends were headed to a vacation home, and the SUV, which had just passed a car, swerved back onto oncoming traffic and hit a tractor-trailer head-on and burst into flames. The 4 had just graduated high school at Fairport, a Rochester suburb. Cell phone use, specifically texting, can be related to drinking while driving. The University of Utah discovered that distractions from cell phone use while driving, hands-held or hands-free, extends a driver's reaction as much as having a blood alcohol content of the legal limit 0.08%. Car and Driver found how just a quick text can cost precious seconds, delays that can hurt us when we're trying to brake, delays that can have deadly consequences. Car and Driver editor Eddie Alterman wanted to compare the reaction time of drivers distracted by texting to drunk drivers. He worked on a desert airstrip in Michigan with his team. Alderman wired a car with a red light above the windshield, and when drivers saw the red light, they were supposed to brake. Sober and 70 miles per hour, it took he himself only half a second to brake. Now, after drinking enough to be considered legally drunk, or .08 on a breathalyzer, he drove an extra 4 feet before braking. His reaction time when sober, but reading emails, was even worse. He drove an extra 36 feet before braking. Most startling were his results when he was completely sober but texting. He drove an extra 70 feet before braking. So basically, it's safer to be drunk driving than it is to be texting while driving, simply because you're spending more time looking at the road than even if you're inebriated. I wonder how Mothers Against Drunk Driving feels about that. Now, this problem can be mainly attributed to accessibility, a lack of proper awareness, and selfishness. Technology can be very tempting, especially when it's at your fingertips. Now, I believe that texting while driving and using any type of cell phone while driving should be a primary offense for the entire nation. This would mean that anyone can be pulled over for cell phone use, only cell phone use alone. No other laws would have to be broken. A 24-hour jail sentence would be mandatory for all first-time offenders. Licenses would be pulled for a minimum of 6 months. It would be required of all first-time offenders to take a cell phone abuse while driving course, much like those mandatory for DUIs. There should be a mandatory fine for all persons caught using their phones while operating a vehicle. This is a feasible alternative because drastic action is already supported by the citizens of this nation. A recent survey given by a random nationwide insurance concluded that 4 out of 5 respondents, 82%, who admit using their cell phones while driving say that their behavior would change if cell phone usage were restricted by the law. That's significant. I also feel that this alternative will significantly reduce problems identified earlier if enforced. Experts agree that success of this legislation will rely on the ability of law enforcers to enforce this law. Historically, communities with driving while distracted laws have had a dip in the behavior initially, but have rebounded because they didn't perceive that the law was being upheld by the law enforcement. The advantages of my solution far outweigh any negative effects. In conclusion, my proposed law of banning national cell phone use while driving is passed, then the danger on our roadways will be greatly decreased. National Highway Traffic Safety Administration recorded that there will be about 5,811,000 traffic crashes reported to police in the next year. In those crashes, 37,261 people were killed and 2,346,000 people would be injured. A primary cause of car accident is driver distraction, and according to Virginia Tech, the NHTSA, the number one source for driver distraction is the use of a wireless device. How much more obvious can it get? We must push for a total ban of cell phone use while driving if we want the future to be safe for us and for our loved ones. Without it, the danger will continue to escalate and the selfishness will continue to claim precious lives. Dr. Phil put it best when he said, "Are you that arrogant and self-absorbed that you would say, despite all danger, I'm going to continue to do this because I can? You don't have the right to do that. You may think you can, you may think that you need to be plugged in about whatever is happening at school or the latest gossip, but I'm driving on that street. My mother's driving on that street. And all of our families are driving on those streets. And we're not really concerned with you being plugged in on current events. Thank you very much.